Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at episodes 7 through 10 of Season 2 of Swallowed Star. We're at the end of the century. A mysterious virus known as the RR virus appears in Earth's atmosphere, killing 2 billion people and mutating animals into monsters. In an attempt to destroy these monsters, the governments of the world used nuclear weapons. While the monsters survived, human civilization was all but wiped out. 5 nations survived and formed an alliance, providing shelter for humanity in large bases. Much like the animals of Earth, the humans have also gained powers, allowing some of them to become warriors, humanity's defenders against the monsters that plague the planet. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be sure you don't miss the next episodes. We open with Luo Feng, Zhao Ruo, and Shi Zhang talking about the life or death hunting experience they will be participating in. And Zhao Ruo is excited to be meeting Hong, the most powerful man in the world. Luo Feng asks Shi Zhang what Hong is like, and he replies that the only word he can use to describe him is God. He says that he's met plenty of gods of war before, but they're like stars in the sky compared to the sun when it comes to Hong. He goes on to explain to Luo Feng and Zhao Ruo that the southern continent is one of the 3 most dangerous places in the entire world, and that it's a sun-scorched land that is a paradise for monsters. The students all line up and a ship appears in the sky. It opens to reveal 2 cloaked warriors. Luo Feng recognizes one as Elder Zhu Ji, the warrior who saved him in the first episode. Shi Zhang is surprised Luo Feng knows him, since Elder is a title that surpasses War God in the War God Palace, but that here at the Academy, it's more appropriate to call him Inspector Zhu. He explains that the other cloaked figure is Inspector Vladimir. Time freezes as a man descends an invisible staircase, and Luo Feng feels as if the very universe is pulling him in. He wonders if he truly is in the presence of a god, as he's feeling fear, as if the man could kill him with just a glance. The man is greeted by the training camp's instructors, and then he makes his way towards Luo Feng. He smiles at him and commends him on his powerful mental strength, before addressing all of the students, reminding them that their goal is not to be war gods, but something greater. He and the other instructors then move at staggering speeds into the building, leaving the students in awe. Luo Feng is told that Hong wishes to see him privately. Hong tells him that his spirit powers put him on the level of a high war god, but warns him that he has enemies who are planning on using dangerous methods to kill him. Luo Feng admits to Hong that he was responsible for the death of the young master of the Polonus clan, but also explains that it was self-defense. Hong accepts this and notes that he deduced this was why Luo Feng hid that he was a spiritual master for so long. He warns Luo Feng specifically of Li Yao, Vanina's husband, and that he intends to kill Luo Feng on the southern continent. Luo Feng tells Hong that if he tries it, he'll defend himself. Hong warns Luo Feng that Li Yao once passed the trials of the ancient civilization ruins, number 9, and acquired armor known as the Black God Suit. Luo Feng admits he doesn't know what the ancient civilization ruins trial is. Hong explains that it's a test site used by the ancient civilization for some kind of trial, and that only a god of war is eligible to even attempt it. The mortality rate for the trial is over 70%, and that Li Yao is immensely strong having passed it, and even stronger now with the Black God Suit, which forms a protective barrier that renders Luo Feng's knives completely useless. We then cut to Luo Feng on the airship with his classmates heading into the southern continent. They are attacked by a swarm of flying monsters. The ships fire the Light of Death, their legendary laser cannon, and completely evaporate the horde. Luo Feng notes that even a god of war could not stand up to that firepower. We then see Vanina and Li Yao greeting a ship as it lands, and soldiers bring out mysterious metal containers. Vanina remarks that she had some difficulty acquiring them, but they should be enough to deal with Luo Feng. Li Yao is surprised to hear his men, who were poised to attack Luo Feng's family, have stopped, and immediately after, Vanina gets a call from the chairman of the HR Alliance, warning her that if they make any move against Luo Feng's family, the entire HR Alliance will come down on the Polonus clan. Li Yao is outraged, stating that the only 2 people who could make the HR Alliance bend like that are Thor and Hong, and that of the 2 of them, only Hong would do that for Luo Feng. He promises Vanina that while Hong may have tied their hands in dealing with Luo Feng's family, it doesn't stop him from being able to go after Luo Feng. As he says this, 3 three terrifying warriors appear and greet him. He and Luo Feng both say out loud that the others should be prepared to face them on the southern continent. The students are dropped off and told to report back to that location in 28 days after their life or death adventure. The students begin breaking into groups. Xi Zhang offers to team up with Luo Feng, but he refuses, saying he has some complicated things he has to take care of. Another student, after Luo Feng leaves, asks Xi Zhang for his contact info, saying that if Luo Feng doesn't want to team up, it's still good to look out for each other. We cut to the private shuttle of Li Yao and his three companions. One of them, a large drunk who looks like a Viking and is a bit of a perv, apologizes to Li Yao that more of them couldn't come, but Li Yao thanks him for his assistance. Another warrior dressed like a ninja moonwalks over and introduces himself as a junior god of war, Esadison. As it is their first time meeting, he says he came for the sole purpose of making money. He says that the third warrior's presence surprises him, as the third warrior, named Kitahara, was recently promoted to god of war, and that his power has increased dramatically. Kitahara laughs off his praise and says that compared to Li Yao, who is a legend, he is nothing. Kitahara also remarks that Luo Feng must be something special if even Li Yao has brought in a special weapon, and asks what's in the box. Li Yao says it's a laser cannon, and the other warriors all look shocked and appalled, stating that it's a taboo weapon to be used on a human. Kitahara begs Li Yao for a chance to buy it off of him for 20 times what he paid for it in order to save his small island nation from a king-level sea monster, but Li Yao refuses, saying it would not be good since it's forbidden to even own one without permission from the government, and that it will be destroyed as soon as they finish off Luo Feng, much to Kitahara's silent anger. Li Yao asks Vanina where Luo Feng is, and she says she had a student get it for her, the student who had gotten it from Xi Zhang. We cut to Luo Feng collecting parts from a monster he's killed, and noting that the largest monster group in the area is an ape race, and that his mission is to kill the leader of the ape race. His thoughts are interrupted as a giant kangaroo monster does battle with a giant ape monster. The ape monster grabs a tree and impales the kangaroo monster, and Luo Feng begins to run, as monsters everywhere are fleeing and being crushed by a gang of ape monsters. It is chaos as the apes kill the other monsters. The four apes stop as their leader, who is massive and has horns, appears. Luo Feng begins to strategize how to best beat them, as he will not if he just attacks them head on. He decides to use speed and leaps down on them from a cliff, catching them off guard with the 9 Thundering Sabers technique on the 4 smaller apes, before using his flying knives on the leader, injuring it. It flees, but he sends the knives after it, killing it. He reminisces about the day he had been awed that a warrior could stand alone against a high-level monster, when Zhu Ji saved him, and thinks with pride about how now he's a warrior able to do the same. He receives a call from Xi Zhang that someone who is friends with Candace asked for his number, and that he gave it to him. Luo Feng thanks him for telling him, but is pleased that he switched his communication watches, so the number is useless in tracking him. He hides and begins to scout, knowing danger is coming, as Li Yao and his team prepare for their attack. Luo Feng observes them with his spirit powers and decides to launch an attack first. Luo Feng carefully stalks the group as they make their way through the southern continent. His plan is to sneak in close and use his knives for a sneak attack on Li Yao. He eventually does this, and Li Yao activates his black god suit, deflecting the knives and surprising Luo Feng. Luo Feng engages the group in battle only to find that his flying knives do not affect the other 3 warriors, since Li Yao can project his suit's force field onto his allies as well. As they fight with Luo Feng, it's clear that he's more powerful than any one of them, but the 3 of them together are outmatching him. He manages to catch Isaacson outside of the protective field and kills him with flying knives. Li Yao unleashes a flurry of blows, showing himself superior to Luo Feng in both speed and power, before sending Luo Feng flying and ordering the remaining 2 warriors to kill him. Kitahara makes ninja illusions of himself and attacks Luo Feng. Luo Feng is able to defeat the copies, but before he can land a killing blow on Kitahara, Li Yao intervenes, and the Viking warrior jumps in to attack. Luo Feng is seriously injured, and Li Yao moves to finish him, but Kitahara stops him, saying Luo Feng will die by his sword. He launches a fiery slash that Luo Feng counters with his flying knives, and follows up by throwing his sword, killing Kitahara. The Viking and Li Yao attack together. Li Yao overpowers even the 4th level of the 9 Thundering Sabers technique, and between him and the Viking, they pummel Luo Feng, although he manages to stay alive. Li Yao rips the charm Zhu Jin gave him off his neck, but Luo Feng manages to escape. He hides in a cave and meditates to recover his strength, believing that with so many of his men dead, Li Yao will not be attacking again soon. The Viking berates Li Yao for bad intelligence, as his reports did not show Luo Feng as strong as he truly is. Li Yao sends a shockwave out, accidentally killing one soldier before kicking over Kitahara's body and stomping through it in anger. He knows that without the Black God suit, he would not have been able to defeat Luo Feng. He decides he must pursue Luo Feng so that he has no time to recover, and asks Klein, his scientist, to assemble the laser cannon. Klein informs him that the box was damaged by a flying knife, and the soldiers quake in fear, as Li Yao will likely kill them if they cannot assemble the laser cannon. Klein says that they're in luck, as there is enough energy undamaged to fire 3 blasts, which should be enough to kill Luo Feng. Once the laser cannon is assembled, Li Yao asks if they can use it to kill Luo Feng, but Klein tells him that the mountain is too thick and they need to get him out to shoot him. Li Yao orders them to shoot as long as they are able to get a clear shot of Luo Feng. Meanwhile, under the mountain, Luo Feng is pleased with his healing speed, sped up by the dragon's blood. He moves through the mountain determined to teach Li Yao a lesson next time they meet. Luo Feng flies out from under the mountain as Li Yao's men aim the laser cannon at him. He remembers the boxes and figures out that it's probably a laser cannon and hides just before he can be targeted. He decides to make a break for a river, since the river will refract the laser. As he's flying towards the river, they target him with the laser cannon, but just before they fire, an airship from the Marshall Club arrives. Li Yao orders the Viking to handle them while he goes after Luo Feng. The Viking moves with the soldiers to attack the warriors coming off the airship, but stops as he realizes one is Vladimir. They are ordered to disassemble the laser cannon, and at first, Klein tries to argue, but the Viking stops him, knowing full well that Vladimir is leagues above even Li Yao. Li Yao, meanwhile, is moving quickly, determined to hunt down Luo Feng and kill him before anyone can intervene. But Luo Feng dives deep into the river, foiling Li Yao's tracking. Li Yao calls Vanina and has her use her more powerful satellites to pinpoint Luo Feng's position. Luo Feng ditches his communications watch once again, foiling their tracking of him. Luo Feng is pleased to be in a foggy gray area that has never been explored by humans before, believing he's safe when he's attacked by bolts of electricity, one of which strikes him. He's dragged beneath the water by electric eel monsters, as Li Yao vows that he will find him and kill him.